Out there in a conversation with Harsha Subramaniam on Friday, discussing the roadmap for the company going forward from here. That stock currently in the pre-open up by nearly 0.3%. All right, let's get some more market perspectives. And now Sreesankar, Head Institution Equities at Prabhudas Lilladher, is joining in this morning. Sri, morning. Thanks for taking the time out to talk to us.
Morning.
What's it looking like? Last week, there were a little bit of global jitters that impacted markets. Good time to go shopping then.
See, I think we have been consistently saying that every time the market corrects itself, use it as an opportunity to buy into the market for good quality stocks, which you probably would have missed when the rally was happening. So, while in our earlier reports, we have consistently come and said that we are expecting the market to be in a structural bull rally and a target of well over 9,000 over the next 18 to 24 months for the index. We still believe that that is the way the market is going to behave. However, there will be a lot of headwinds. One will be huge supply of paper, which we'll continue to see, be it QIPs, IPOs and everything which will continue to happen, plus the global issues which will come up, whether it is in terms of the QE3 or the entire thing coming to a standstill, or whether it's going to be an interest rate strike high over here, addressing inflation, or the problems elsewhere in emerging market, be it in Argentina in default, be it in terms of anything else. There is going to be a lot of headwinds from a global fund flow point of view, and there will be periods at this point of time when there will be a risk awareness to emerging markets at some point of time, and suddenly the flows that you see will see negative from FIIs for some time, etc. Despite these things, we continue to believe that markets, if the ground realities are what it is going to have a good earnings growth going forward, a good economic growth going forward, and consequently in numbers in terms of earnings growth. That's number one. Number two, I do not think that anything is going to happen to any one of the quarterly results which are coming up right now, because I do not think that the kind of an economic growth that you estimate, for which we are bullish on the market, that has got nothing to do with the quarterly results which is right now, which is was a result of the past kind of a growth expectations and so on and so forth. So, if the third is, look at the way some of the small cap stocks have behaved and small cap indexes behaved, and many of these stocks have gone into 3x, 4x, etc. from the bottoms, etc. And these stocks have corrected quite sharply. I'm saying that in a market which is on a bull rally, you will see a lot of these stocks even without fundamentals going into a very high levels. So one needs to be extremely careful of those stocks as well.
All right, Sri, just hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break right now. But before that, I want to quickly mention, as far as the cues coming in out from the pre-open itself, 0.5% gain on the benchmark indices is what's it looking like. So it could be a little bit of a decent start. But the stocks to watch out for, remember, are regarding the bribery loan case that we've been talking about. Syndicate Bank, 4.5% lower. Prakash Industries, 15.5% knock. And Bhushan Steel also seeing a little bit of a rub-off on the back of those developments, is in the negative by nearly 0.5%. We'll take a quick break right now and get you some more details on the bribery loan case as well, and discuss some more market perspective with Sreesankar. Stay tuned.
Auto companies have fought hard to grow in the tough Indian market. After a slow couple of years, are things beginning to look good? What is their strategy to revive and the roadmap to recovery? Join me on a drive with the leading CEOs of the auto industry.
Presented by Servo. Add Servo, add life. Magazine partner, Autocar Professional.
No depreciation, no deduction. Get a complete claim with your car insurance. Reliance Private Car Package Policies, nil depreciation cover. To know more, visit us at www.reliancegeneral.co.in or contact us at these numbers. Insurance is the subject matter of solicitation.
Reliance.
It's active. It's an instrument to hedge your risk, and it's all about the action. Welcome to the world of derivatives. Analyze all the trends, all the happenings of the last week gone by in the world of derivatives, and get a sense as to what the strategy is going forward for next week.
World of Derivatives, presented by BSC Investors Protection Fund.
Presented by BSC Investors Protection Fund.
Everything around is getting smart. But what about your money? Decode latest financial trends. Build your financial portfolio with the most credible insights. Make your money smart. Smart money.
Presented by BSC Investors Protection Fund.
Back at us on Street Smart, here are the top company news this morning. In the latest bribes for loan scandal, Syndicate Bank CMD SK Jain and 7 others have been remanded to CBI custody for 4 days. Jain allegedly took a 50 lakh loan worth of bribes for dispersal of loans. Automakers have posted a mixed set of sales numbers for the month of July. Tata Motors reported a 23% fall in sales. Domestic sales alone have fallen 25%. M&M too has reported weak sales at 35,000 odd units. TVS Motor, however, posted a 32% growth in July sales at 2 lakh units. The government's new gas price formula may spell bad news for Reliance Industries. PTI reports that the oil ministry is open to a price of $6 to $6.50 for domestic natural gas, but RIL wants to sell at the existing $4.2 per unit rate till it makes up for the shortfall in supplies for the past 4 years. And staying with the oil and gas space, reports are indicating that the upstream regulated DGH has refused to recognize 3 gas discoveries of state-owned ONGC in the Krishna Godavari block. It's back to you, Priyanka.
All right, Sunanda, thanks for getting us that perspective as far as some of the top corporate headlines are concerned this morning. But well, we've been in conversation with Sreesankar, Head Institution Equities for Prabhudas Lilladher. We're discussing the market strategy out here. But if one has to actually take a call on a couple of the counters, let's talk about some of the big ones from the IT pack. They'll probably be in focus. We heard what Mr. Sikka actually had to say on Friday. He's actually taken over as CEO as well. He commences his term rather. The point here is, any of the IT stocks, Sri, that are on your radar right now?
Yeah, we do have it under coverage.
Okay, and what kind of rating are you working with, and what's the advice to clients on it?
See, let's look at the sector per se. When you speak about IT stocks, the first and foremost is, how is the demand environment looking? Our analyst continues to believe that the demand environment is extremely robust and it's strong. That strength in the demand environment means that it's good for the entire industry per se. Now, this is within that industry, you have to choose your stocks. That's what it comes to. And clearly, from our perspective, and our analyst strongly believes that Infosys is a great story, should give you handsome returns over the next 12 months. So, IT industry per se, is something from a demand environment, very strong, and if any weakness in currency will even add up to it. That's number one. Number two, the second thing is whether you are going to get a stock return like the way you got it in the last 12 months. The answer is perhaps no. The reason is last 12 months also saw your currency depreciating quite sharply, which also aided a stronger earnings growth momentum for the entire sector. To that extent, you may not see a currency benefit coming through in the current year. So a lot of these things will be from the demand environment, right, and that's what is going to lead it.
Okay. Fair, Shri. Just hold that thought. I want to just get a quick mention on the market opening that we're picking up right now. The pre-open was suggesting markets to kickstart trade with a gain of almost 0.5%. Let's see what kind of opening we are actually picking up on the benchmark indices right now. So Sensex opened the day higher by nearly 117 odd points is what we're seeing right now. It's a little bit of green in terms of the opening itself. That's a little bit of a relief as well. Remember last week we'd seen sharp cuts coming in. Infy holding on, 0.5% gain, as she was just mentioning about the IT pack. Wipro and TCS also have been holding on to decent gains. L&T seeing some bit of gains today, 0.6% higher. BHEL seeing some bit of recovery. RIL, ONGC, Tata Motors numbers came in over the weekend, 1.1% higher as far as that one's concerned. M&M though, been probably a disappointment in terms of numbers, 0.3% lower for that one. Bharti up by nearly 1.8 is what we're tracking right now. NTPC continues to trade weak, 0.2% lower on that one. TCS just moving into negative. Cipla, Hero Moto are a couple of the stocks that are just holding on. Hindalco also up by nearly 1%. Let's get the Nifty going as well. Pull that index up. On the Nifty, currently higher by 40 points. Majority of the stocks are in positive. Just 8 odd stocks losing out. Let's get the names up. Grasim earnings impact here. HCL Tech seeing a decent recovery, 2% higher on that one. Sesa Sterlite, Bharti, ICICI Bank and DLF, some of the beta plays coming back into the market. United Spirits postponed its earnings once again. That stock's down 0.5%. Tech Mahindra is once again weaker by half. M&M monthly sales numbers coming out for this one is what we're tracking so far. So 43 points higher, 7643 in terms of the benchmark index is what we're tracking right now. But beyond the index, there are a couple of the other stocks also that have been reacting, and we've been discussing that in detail itself as far as some of these stocks are concerned. Prakash Industries, Bhushan Steel and Syndicate Bank, those are three broader stocks that are actually on radar. Saloni's been tracking the entire story as far as Bribery loan is concerned. Saloni, Prakash Industries, 20% lower circuit. Syndicate Bank, 5.5%. Bhushan Steel, 3.2%. Clearly, markets taking notice of all those developments over the weekend.
Well, clearly, Priyank, as the way stocks have plunged, we are seeing the impact clearly visible. Now, largely, all these three companies have been in focus. Now, to begin with, what has happened in the case so far, now Syndicate Bank, CMD, 7 others, including VC, that's the Vice Chairman of Bhushan Steel, Neeraj Singhal, have been accused, and the CMD of Prakash Industries, with Prakash Agarwal, has also been accused in this particular case. Now, largely, CBI sources have indicated that they will expand the probe and also look at all the loans sanctioned by SK Jain. Also, his role as the executive director of Bank of Baroda will be probed. Remember, before joining as the CMD of Syndicate Bank for 2 years, he was the ED of Bank of Baroda. So that role will be probed. Also, they are probing whether other EDs or CGMs assisted him, allegedly assisted him in this particular bribe for loan scam. So that is to be watched out for. On the Finmin end, largely Syndicate Bank officials have indicated that Finmin will seek an internal probe from Syndicate Bank as to what happened in this particular case. But these three particular companies will be on the radar as far as this particular bribe for loan scam is concerned.
All right. In fact, there are some developments as we speak about this itself. The Finance and Services Secretary said that they expect the CBI report on Syndicate Bank today is what we're just picking up from Wires itself. So that's the other development since we're on the topic itself. The Finance and Services Secretary said, and he said that the action against Syndicate Bank CMD only after the CBI report. So those stocks are collapsing on the back of those developments that Sononi was just mentioning out there. Sononi, thanks for getting us those updates. Well, so that's as far as those stocks are concerned. Bhushan Steel also down by nearly 6%. Syndicate Bank 6% lower, and Prakash Industries is taking a knock of almost 20% on a lower circuit. Sri, I'm probably guessing that these stocks aren't something that you track actively, but any thoughts on the developments as to what's really transpired over the weekend in regard to the arrest and the bribe for loan scam?
Oh, no. We have no idea.
Fair enough, Sri. All right, so let's talk about some of the auto numbers. Then we've been tracking Tata Motors, M&M. Any of these auto stocks on your radar?
Yes, they do. They are.
What are you even advising clients to do then? Because the numbers so far haven't been one of the best that we've actually seen over the last few months. Looking at the way July sales are panning out, are there signs of recovery? Because Tata Motors probably is the one that's indicating in some of the segments there could be some turnaround. Is that the general trend across the auto companies?
So our own best estimates is if you look across the spectrum of automobiles, you have your motorcycles, scooters, passenger cars, and commercial vehicles, both LCV, HCVs, and MCVs, and all, and tractors, of course. So now the two-wheeler pack has been seeing a growth in the first quarter. If I am not mistaken, it's more than it's in the double digits, closer to double digits. So there are some gainers, there are some losers on that. But the sector as it is has grown. Second is the passenger car segment has also seen a kind of a growth, especially Maruti has come out with the growth numbers. And now some have lost, probably Tata Motors have lost in the entire band game. Now the third is when you look at even when you speak to a lot of BOT companies, where infrastructure companies where we have been having toll roads, we have actually started to see the toll traffic growth happening in many of those roads, which is also an indication of things beginning to improve. So our expectation is that this should be felt through probably in the next quarter in terms of numbers. I would rather first expect the numbers, the decline that we are seeing, to get arrested before actually the growth starts to come in. So our expectation is, my own expectations is that probably we should start to see the decline getting arrested now going forward, and the growth will actually start to come very strongly from fourth quarter onwards. That's where we are in our estimates.
In banking counters, Sri, any thoughts on the larger banking space? Because we've got the policy meet tomorrow. Let's see what actually comes in there. But from the banking side, anything on your radar right now? Any stocks that you're working with when we talk about the banking sector?
We like the banking sector. We like the banking sector, the entire banking sector per se. If our economic growth estimates are good, and we expect the market to go to around 9,000 levels, then we need to necessarily be bullish on banks. That's number one. Number two, within that sector,
enough. On the broader market side then, Sri, because that's where the other interest has been over the last few months now, in terms of the way some of the mid-caps have actually outperformed. Any mid-caps that you probably have on your radar that you've been advising clients to work with? Or is that a risky space in the current scenario?
I don't think it's too risky a space to be there.
Okay.
Because if you look at something like capital goods and engineering stories, etc., and the valuations in many of these companies have actually gone very, very high. Now what will happen is, when those numbers don't follow, probably a fatigue level will start to set in, and that fatigue level will actually result in these stocks underperforming for some time. And I think we are beginning to see probably that underperformance coming from some of these stocks, at least for the probably for the next quarter, etc. We may end up seeing. That's the only thing that I would rather look at it. On the other hand, even in the mid-cap space, for example, now our analyst clearly points out something interesting. You look at the agrochemical space, etc. The companies which are focusing on the domestic market has seen a relatively poor performance when compared to companies which are looking at most of it in an export market. For example, UPL and PI in that segment has come out with relatively better results when compared to some of the other companies within that sector which is focusing on the local market, the domestic market. That's basically because of the poor monsoon that we have had so far.
Okay.
So I think it varies from sector to sector and stock to stock.
All right, Sri. Fair enough. Thanks so much for joining in this morning with your perspective in terms of the market strategy out there. All right, it's been a fairly decent morning in terms of the way markets are playing out, 0.5% almost on the benchmark indices, and so far they've been holding on to those gains. The currency also been seeing a little bit of strength, 60.94 in terms of levels. But well, it's a wrap on Street Smart. But coming up next is In Business, and Harsha is here. Harsha, what are we looking at in business today?
All eyes on monetary policy, Priyank. Forgetting out what Governor Rajan is going to be doing tomorrow, I'm going to be joined by Sajid Chinoy of JP Morgan and Anand Narayan from Standard Chartered to tell us what's in store.